The campus crisis. It was an unusually cold morning in Flint, Michigan, and Donnie was manning the grill at Eddie's Diner. The faint sizzle of bacon on the stove was interrupted by the blaring sound of the diner's old TV. A panicked news anchor filled the screen. "We're receiving reports of chaos at the University of Michigan. Witnesses describe a man with rubber-like abilities tearing through the campus. Police are urging everyone to avoid the area." Donta wiped his hands on a rag and turned to Eddie, who was scrubbing the counter. "Looks like I gotta step out for a bit," Donta said. Eddie, barely looking up, grunted. "Just don't take too long. The lunch rush ain't gonna cook itself." Donta nodded, heading to the storage room. A few minutes later, he emerged as Super Donta, dressed in his loose orange jumpsuit, purple cape, and black mask. Before flying off, he muttered to himself, "All right, Donta, penitentiary rules are in full effect." The elastic terror. When Donta arrived at the university, the scene was worse than the news had described. Cars were overturned, trees were uprooted, and frightened students ran in every direction. In the center of it all stood Professor Freaky Freddy, his elongated arms smashed into buildings as he cackled madly. A group of police officers attempted to stop him, but Freddy easily batted their squad car aside. "What's the matter? Thought your little toys could stop me?" Freddy taunted, stretching his neck to glare down at the terrified officers. That's when Donta landed in the middle of the quad, creating a small shockwave that drew everyone's attention. He stood tall, arms crossed. "Yo, Stretch, you're done." Freddy turned, his eyes narrowing. "Who invited the ex-con? Don't you have a grill to flip somewhere?" Donta smirked, cracking his knuckles. "Penitentiary rules are in full effect." Round 1, the quad showdown. Freddy wasted no time. His arms shot out like twin whips, one aiming for Dante's legs and the other for his head. Donta dodged the first and caught the second with his super strength, yanking Freddy forward. But Freddy, ever the opportunist, used his elasticity to spin midair, transforming his body into a spiraling whip that struck Donta square in the chest. Donta was sent skidding across the quad, smashing into a bench. "All right, Freddy, you got tricks, but I got skills," Donta said, launching himself back into the fray. Dante's super strength allowed him to grapple with Freddy, slamming him into the ground. But Freddy's elasticity made him nearly impossible to pin down. He stretched his torso, slipping out of Dante's grasp and countering with a slingshot attack that sent Donta crashing into a nearby fountain. Freddy laughed. "Is that all you've got? You're gonna need more than muscles to take me down, hero." Cash the library rescue. As the battle raged, Donta heard screams from the library. Freddy had shifted his attention, his stretchy limbs tearing through the building. Students were trapped inside, their only exit blocked by Freddy's massive coiled body. "All right, time to multitask," Donta muttered, flying straight into the library. He quickly began evacuating students, lifting debris and creating a clear path for them to escape. Freddy, noticing Dante's actions, grinned. "Playing babysitter, are we? How sweet." Freddy lashed out with his elongated legs, toppling a row of bookshelves toward a group of fleeing students. Donta reacted instantly, catching the falling shelves with his super strength and carefully setting them aside. "You're gonna pay for that," Donta growled, stepping closer to Freddy. Freddy smirked, contorting his body into a spring-like coil. "Come and get me." Before Donta could react, Freddy launched himself forward, the impact sending both of them flying through the library's shattered windows. Round 2, Freddy's Wrath. Outside, Donta and Freddy squared off again. Donta managed to land a powerful punch, sending Freddy sprawling across the quad. For a moment, it seemed like the fight was over. But Freddy, lying on the ground, began to laugh. "You think this is over?" Freddy shouted. "I gots to get me that! I gots to have a piece!" His body swelled, his stretchy muscles bulging unnaturally as he stood. Freddy's rage fueled his powers, making him stronger and more unpredictable. He whipped his arms in wide arcs, tearing through anything in their path. Donta dodged the attacks, his super hearing picking up cries for help from nearby dorms. "Dang it, Freddy, you're making me work overtime," he muttered, flying off to rescue more civilians. The turning point. Realizing Freddy's elasticity made him nearly invincible, Donta decided to change tactics. Instead of brute strength, he used his flight and agility to stay one step ahead. Freddy, overconfident in his newfound power, stretched his limbs farther and farther until his movements began to slow. Getting a little tired, Stretch? Donta taunted, weaving through Freddy's attacks. Freddy snarled, extending his arms to their limit. Donta seized the opportunity, grabbing Freddy's outstretched limbs and twisting them into a knot. Freddy struggled, but Donta tied his arms and legs together, immobilizing him. "Looks like you're all tied up," Donta said, planting a foot on Freddy's chest. The aftermath. As the police arrived, Freddy continued to thrash and scream. "This ain't over, Donta. You'll see. I'll get stronger, and next time I'll take you down." Donta wiped sweat from his brow and looked around at the damage. Students began to emerge from their hiding spots, cheering as the police loaded Freddy into a reinforced van. One student approached Donta cautiously. "Super Donta, how did you beat him?" Donta chuckled. "Penitentiary rules, kid. Never let the other guy see you sweat." With that, he flew off, ready for his next adventure.
Like the video. Subscribe